This story really begins when a member of my senior leadership team at London Bridge Childcare Services approached me one day and asked me this question: if you could do anything in your current role, what would it be? I had always thought of developing a program where children could connect with nature and explore outdoor environments in their truest and simplest forms. This invitation to lead fueled my curiosities and motivated me to come up with a more concrete plan. The idea of an enriched outdoor and nature program was born, but in order for the program to be successful, I knew that it was necessary to engage everyone involved at varying stages: my leadership team, our families, my colleagues at the center, and perhaps most importantly, the children who would have the opportunity to experience this program firsthand. My leadership team was well aware of my passion for the outdoors. In the past, I participated in an action research project where I focused on the experiences of toddlers in an outdoor space that was free of toys and artificial materials. This research project was a major component of the Master Educator program, which is an 18-month enriched professional learning opportunity that is unique to London Bridge. As I observed toddlers at play, I was truly amazed by the ways they engaged with the space, and I began to note many positive influences that this space seemed to have on the group. The children seemed more engaged, more collaborative, and generally more settled. I also noticed how resourceful they were when it came to inventing tools to use in their play. Anything they felt they needed to enhance their play experiences, they quickly developed using items found in nature. This research project definitely influenced my decision to offer a similar experience to preschoolers. I worked through the varying aspects of my proposal with thoughtfulness and intentionality, carefully considering potential costs, staffing and ratio concerns, scheduling, and strategies to engage families and colleagues in the program. Since relationships are highly valued, I invited some members of our management team to get involved. Our facilities manager came into the classroom and sat with the children to look over their sketches for a proposed garden space. Then he graciously invited the children to help measure the physical space and prepare the gardens for planting. As a group, we also welcomed our artist in residence to join us on many outings so she could capture the spirit of our group and lead us in many creative, meaningful initiatives outdoors. Since the outdoor program proposed some very unique ideas, we felt it necessary to engage our families from the beginning. We hosted an information evening where families could hear the details of our proposal. This was also an opportunity for them to ask questions, share ideas, and explore some of the materials that would be made available to the children. We encouraged families to participate in the program however they felt comfortable, and we committed to maintaining open communication throughout. At the program's close, families were welcomed back to share stories with us and reflect together on our amazing journey. Since the space we intended to use for our outdoor classroom was a shared space, my colleague and I invited educators to come together with us so we could share details of our proposed program. We talked about our hopes for the children and for our summer together. We listened to their questions and ideas, and together we discussed strategies that could support all children and educators who use the space. Having this opportunity to communicate with one another really helped form partnerships so we could all openly share our celebrations as well as our challenges. Since this program was for the children, I felt that it would be crucial to involve them at every stage, from the initial planning to trip preparation to final reflections. We were all equal partners, free to ask questions, voice concerns, and make suggestions, and our preschoolers embraced this responsibility wholeheartedly. Our partnership with the children spoke to our commitment to being fully present and attentive as we explored our community together. We also wanted to embrace the spirit of our preschoolers by celebrating their ever-changing interests. A flexible schedule and routine meant that we were free to modify our plans to accommodate new and developing interests or to allot more time to simply linger in a space for a little bit longer. Furthermore, since this program was based outdoors, flexibility was necessary so that we could adapt to changing weather conditions on a moment's notice. At this point in the story, I want to pause briefly and bring our attention to the document, How Does Learning Happen? My experience in developing this outdoor program for my class contains evidence of each of the learning foundations threaded throughout. Belonging. By immersing ourselves in our local community, the children recognized that they were a part of something much bigger, and as a result, they began to construct a greater definition of community. Also, spending time outdoors created a sense of connectedness to the natural world. The children began to notice insects in the garden and ask questions about their habitats. What do their houses look like? Where do they go when they're sick or hurt? Do bugs have playgrounds like us? Then the group took their knowledge of community and created structures for the insects, a house for the ants, a ladybug hospital, a snail restaurant. Our definition of community grew to embrace even the smallest creatures that shared our space. Well-being. A healthy food culture is essential for our well-being. Planting a garden and harvesting fresh vegetables help the children make positive food connections. Since they were engaged in the garden project at all stages, they were excited to sample our fresh produce and incorporate fresh ingredients into daily lunches and snacks. Being outdoors for extended periods also translated into a natural increase in the physical activity levels of our group. Physically demanding explorations, such as long neighborhood walks, climbing, and balancing activities, ensured that the children maintained healthy activity levels throughout the day. Engagement. Our commitment to a flexible schedule meant that the children had extended periods of time outdoors to explore the natural environment and to fully engage in investigations and group projects. Our neighborhood walks and bus trips prompted a group exploration of maps and mapping skills. The children wanted to locate their own houses on a map, but they also wanted to find all of the places that we had been visiting. They took maps on our excursions, and we worked with an artist to create maps of some of our own favorite places. And finally, expression. In order for this program to be successful, we wanted to ensure that measures were in place that would allow the children to freely express themselves. They were the voices that fueled our curriculum, and as co-contributors to the program, the children assumed an active role in the daily planning process. Our partnership with the children was based on mutual trust and respect, and it invited each child to embrace his or her individuality. Moving forward now, I will share some of the intended as well as the unanticipated outcomes of the program, which will again highlight some examples of well-being, expression, engagement, and belonging. The outdoor program itself was portable. We carried a duffel bag with materials and guidebooks to enhance our investigations. This portability meant that we could set up our explorations in our yard space at the center or pack up and move on to a neighborhood park or green space. This way, we did not always have to negotiate yard usage times with other classrooms because we could simply take our classroom elsewhere, and this automatically increased our time spent outdoors. As we spent more time exploring our immediate community, we developed a greater awareness of all that our neighborhood had to offer. We came to know the buildings and landmarks around our center, and that inspired us to broaden our boundaries. Our walks became longer and our destinations farther away. We explored various routes while walking, which motivated us to investigate maps and mapping skills. Our definition of community continued to grow as children initiated conversations with neighbors and passers-by. In the beginning, it was my mission to introduce the children to many different places and spaces. However, with each trip, it seemed like our predetermined destination became less important than the journey it took to get there. For instance, we planned a trip to a place called Huron Woods, and I told the group about this wonderful spot at the river's bend that was shallow, and they would be able to walk out into the water. When we arrived at the woods, however, it became quickly obvious that my agenda was no longer important. Instead, the children found joy along the path, smelling the wildflowers and exploring the prickles of burrs and teasels. Then they lingered at the frog pond, and they could have stayed there all day. A mud puddle caught our attention too, and so did a soccer field, a grassy hill, and the pebbles in a parking lot. We never made it to the river bend that day, but instead the children had the power to design their own adventures, and they surprised us by choosing to linger in a few special spots along the path. Sharing our story with colleagues has inspired others at London Bridge to look more closely at their outdoor spaces. It might mean the introduction of a garden space or a unique outdoor event or installation that engages children. It looks different at each site, and it should, as educators and center teams consider how to tailor outdoor experiences so that they make sense to their own environments. For me, developing and implementing an outdoor nature program for my preschool class began as a way to support connections between children and the natural world. Now it holds a much deeper meaning as I consider how instrumental this opportunity was in developing my skills as a leader in the early childhood profession. Through a system of trust, support, and enthusiasm, I was encouraged to follow my passion and create a truly unique opportunity for my group. Our profession is full of passionate and inspiring RECEs who have the capacity to lead, and for some this might mean stepping away from their classrooms to assume a more formal leadership role. However, this does not always have to be the case. In fact, I will go so far as to say that if we are to grow our profession at all, leadership must start with the highly skilled and passionate early childhood educators in classrooms. When we invest in leadership development at all levels of our profession, we empower our RECEs to continue to learn and grow and to embrace leadership opportunities that truly speak to them. Thank you.